Hey guys, so I wanted to make a video on the budget bow character since I got some questions on my last video. I didn't show that much gameplay footage of it, so I'll make a full video and guide for the more so mid-budget bow character and a little bit of a low-budget one as well. So yeah, this character currently, as it stands, when I price checked it, was like 240 divines. Now I made it for something around like 180 divines. Majority of the cost, I do mean majority, 80%, is in your bow and quiver. But yeah, I'll go over the character in a second. I just want to show some gameplay as that is the most important part, of course. So we'll do a quick tier 17 map with, as you can see, 90% increased map effect. So yeah, I'll skip to Wildwood. It can do Wildwood, but obviously I just want to make the video short, so I'll just skip it for now. Yeah, it's very, very good for tier 17s. Better than I thought it would be. Feels very nice to play tornado shot. Obviously, bow build scale exceptionally well with Hunter, and with Hunter just being 10 divines, it makes sense to play a bow build even on a low budget right now. But yeah, I'll just quickly go through the tier 17 map. You see that Kosis right there just instantly died. Decent enough tank stats, not the most tanky build, but you know, it's a bow character, right? You don't expect much. It's gonna have very good damage, pretty good range, but it's not gonna be that tanky. Won't click the shrine. I'll skip the shrine. Yeah, I'll take off my Hunter buffs for the boss so you can get a more realistic of what the DPS will look like. So we'll go to the map real quick, go back in, and then we'll do the boss. Now I have no Hunter buffs. This is our farshot channel shot build, and essentially you just want to, you know, stand as far as possible, do as max DPS as possible. See right there, almost died because I stood in shit, but yeah, as long as you move out of the way, you won't die that often, to be honest. Yep, you see, boss DPS still completely fine with no enter buffs. And the thing is, you always come to boss soon with enter buffs, and if you do, the boss dies in like 3 or 2 seconds. I just want to show what the boss DPS looks like without any buffs at all. Do a quick tier 16 map as well, as bow builds do excel a lot more in tier 16 maps than they do in tier 17. I highly recommend to play bow builds in tier 16, although they do perform quite well in tier 17 with more investment. You know, it is just a lot better in tier 16. The wide open range with projectile speed on tornado shot makes it feel very, very good. Like playing any tornado shot build in tier 16 with projectile speed is going to feel very nice. Obviously very good for Legion as well, boxes, whatever you want to do. But yeah, these wide open maps is definitely where bow builds definitely shine the most. As you can see, not a lot of skills have the screen wide coverage. But yeah, I can still do every tier 17 map, even Ziggurat on this build. Although Ziggurat is definitely the most rippy and you probably will die a little bit more. But stuff like A-Bomb, Sanctuary, or Fortress are all quite easily doable. Especially since with Hunter buffs, you know, you easily kill the boss in like 3 or 4 seconds. Hunter buffs are really, really, really good on bow builds. If you played one before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, tier 16 maps is definitely where bow builds shine the most, but you can definitely still do tier 17s as well. Go to boss real quick, leave the map, and yeah. There is more so a 35 divine budget build that I'll show here. The thing is with this build, while it can do tier 17s, it's more so suited for tier 16. And I'll show some gameplay first. This is the boss DPS. The boss DPS really lacks on this one, as this is a real low budget build. Like I said, 35 divines on this version of the build. You're playing Ellie hit, so you don't have a +2 bow. You don't have a +1 hour quiver. It's like the bosses are doable. You can do Fortress. I probably wouldn't do any other tier 17. I full clear completely fine. But yeah, I just want to showcase it because maybe if you have like a lower budget and you still want to play bow builds, you're like, hey, can I play bow builds on a 50 divine budget? The answer is yes, and you can still do tier 17 maps. It's just more so I would only stick to the Fortress map. Yeah, this clear is still pretty good. Defense is like okay. Predator really carries this version of the build because you are lacking a lot of power on a build that only has 35 divines invested. Yeah, this is some of the gameplay of that. Yeah, like I said earlier, this build is currently 240 divines when I price checked it, but you can make it for a lot cheaper. Majority of cost is in the bow and quiver, so the chest, boots, and gloves you can all craft like under 5 or 6 divines, but if I were to price check these, they're like 14-15 divines. So keep that in mind. Rings are literally like free. Belt is 10 divines currently. Amulet is, this one's probably like 3 to 4 divines. Helmet is also pretty much free. So yeah, the Bow itself, when I got it, was 80 divines. The quiver I self-made for 115 divines. You can probably buy this for like 25 to 35 divines, but I'll definitely self-make these. I have all the crafting notes in the POB. So let's go to the POB real quick. So yeah, I also made multiple POBs. So this is the 35 divine budget one, the LE hit, 18 million DPS, not that much, but it's a very cheap build to get going, especially this late in the league. Then the more so endgame POB, the farshot one, this is the one I'm using. This is roughly, I think if you self-make it, anywhere from 160 to 200 divines. If you just buy everything outright, it's going to be more expensive, just keep that in mind. But yeah, respectable, 51 million DPS, depending on conditionals, of course. Only 20 rage tick tier, 30 shock, and 60 projectile distance. So the reason why I'm farshot on this build is that to really make use of the point blank very effectively, you really want the forbidden jewels of the spring, which is quite expensive now, obviously, since my last video. But another good stuff you can do is farshot, and that's because you can steal something like focal point, any of the Deadeye notes, to be honest. And when you steal one of the Deadeye notes, you can get 5 notables, and that means you can make good use of farshot. And farshot does indeed stack with the fledgling. So yeah, these two do stack together, giving you up to 90% more damage if you get the max distance, which is not that hard as tornado shot, because the tornado shot projectile counts as a singular projectile. So the arrow you shoot right here, and then the arrow explodes out of it, that all counts as one projectile. So getting that 70 distance is actually not too hard at all with this skill. Yeah, I'm playing farshot on this version because it's a cheaper version, but eventually you do want to transition into the point blank version, which, as you can see, is double the damage, but it is more expensive, as you will want the Oath of Spring, Forbidden Flesh, Forbidden Flame, and you also will want a 12 passive cluster, because large clusters on a bow build, on a point blank build, is not that good, because like Feed the Fury and Martial Prowess is like alright. Feed the Fury is not even that very consistent unless you use Petrified Blood. The 12 passive cluster is really ideal for these point blank builds. You get a ton of attack speed, which makes stacking the Oath of Spring a lot easier as well. I recommend the farshot build, enough currency, go to point blank build, and then if you want to play more and more, you can go to the multi-mirror build, which is my video from I don't know, 2 or 3 days ago. But anyway, like I said, I have all the crafting notes in the POB. Make sure to check this out. And I think that's mostly about it. Like I said, majority of the cost comes from the bow and quiver. You can get a worse bow. So currently my bow is 1321 LEDPS. If you got like 1150 LEDPS or 1.1k LEDPS, this bow will probably be like 30 to 40 divines. So a lot cheaper. You just really need a +2 arrows before you swap to tornado shot. Tornado shot really needs as many arrows as possible. When you only have 5 arrows, I don't really recommend to play tornado shot. You should stick to LE hit. I also got questions about, like, you know, can I just play Warden and not buy the Forbidden Jewels? Answer is no. While yes, Warden can have more damage, the issue is when you're on low budget, low gear, you're not going to make use of the Scorch node and your range, so you can't take like these Tinction nodes. You have to waste a point here, which makes it really ineffective, because then you have to spend 6 total Ascendancy points if you want to actually effectively use Tinctures. So you're just going to have like Oath of Spring, Oath of Winter, and Avatar to Wilds, and then you're not going to have like Gathering Winds. You know, proper elevated talon boots are quite expensive, and Gathering Winds plus boot implicit is a lot faster than elevated tailwinds boots as well. And then you're also going to be missing the wall balance from Ricochet and +1 chain, which means you're going to have to use like Awakened Chain or chaining your gem links. That's like negative 40% DPS because you're missing 1 gem slot. You're going to be missing +2 arrows, so the clear is worse, and you're going to be missing DR from focal point. So while on paper, Warden can have more damage with Avatar to Wilds up, it's lower damage for Avatar to Wilds. Your quality of life just goes down. Like, you don't get mark transfer, you don't get wall bounce, you don't get the free +1 chain, you don't get the more projectiles, which is better clear speed. So I do not recommend to play Tornado Shot as Warden. Now, I do think Elemental Hit as Warden is completely fine. You don't really need the +2 projectiles. It's really easy to get high Scorch on Elemental Hit because you have a lot of flat fire damage. On that build, it's fine, but for Tornado Shot, I would strictly only stick to Deadeye, in my opinion. So yeah, that's about it for the video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. But yeah, I just want to make this video real quick because more people were asking, you know, how is the more budget version of this build? It's still very strong, very good. It's ideal for tier 16 maps. It can still easily clear any tier 17 map as well. I would just say Ziggurat though is one you should stay away unless you know that boss fight very well. But yeah, that's about it.